All right, welcome back to the build server. And in keeping with my rush to work on warships, which is something I always enjoy, tonight we are going to be talking about advanced endstone armor. So, all right, let's start with the basics. Let me load up a schematic I prepared earlier. We're going to paste that in. Okay, there we go. Just a simple single layer of endstone. Nothing special. Nothing special. And we're going to shoot it. All right, boom. So, the big thing to note is just like materials in real life, the endstone on the server breaks in tears. Not just like little random holes, but rather it breaks in tears or rents. So what that means to you is that we can use this. Because it tends to break in these diagonal tears, we can use that to make our armor stronger. So let me show you what I mean. Next schematic. Alright, now what we've done here is we've now arranged a series of horizontal armor plates. Okay, and the cool thing is this is exactly how they do it, you know, in actual application in the real world. Well, I mean, not exactly, but the same principles apply, which I just find awesome. Okay, here we go. Enough blabbering, time for explosions. Okay, so it has once again been hit. Now we have these same rents, right? It puts the little lines, the tears through the armor, but now because it is stacked horizontally, the rents must also travel horizontally, the effect being that the armor has not been penetrated by more than one block, because yes, there's a hole there, but there's a solid armor block in front of it. And what's more is you can kind of play the angles here a little bit. So this gun shoots 6 projectiles in a pretty good scattering effect, right? And that's common with weapons on the server. But chances are any one explosion is going to be, well, I mean, by definition, it has to be between 2 of these plates, all right? So the force from the explosion has to hit one of these plates before it can hit the next one up. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I'm trying to say is I'm basically channeling the force of the explosion, forcing it to hit laterally across these plates. Okay, alright, so how do we use that? Because obviously this would not be very effective armor, right? You could shoot fireballs right through it, so that's no good. So, what we are going to do is we have to tessellate this pattern in a way that stops fireballs. Now, before I get into that, let me show you the old G3 armors. Let me load that up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. First, we need... That's right, sorry. We need a standard. So we're going to do some penetration testing. What that means is we are going to fire this gun repeatedly at the armor until it is penetrated. We will consider it penetrated when you could fire a fireball from the front and get all the way through the armor. Okay? All right, simple enough. So let's, like I say, we need a basis for comparison. So we will load up a solid block of endstone. And I'm sure I'll have to clean. Yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of cleanup here. Let me just get rid of this. And there we go. So when we talk about armor, we talk about its weight. Specifically, we talk about its weight compared to solid blocks of endstone, or its endstone equivalent, its EE weight. This would be EE4. What I mean by that is you take any point along the armor, and it has 4 blocks of endstone all the way in. Now, they don't have to be all in one place. It just means that on average, your armor has the weight of 4 blocks thick endstone. Okay, so simple. All right, so we got to count this off. Now, there's going to be a lot of counting involved. That's just what penetration testing is like, and yeah, you just kind of have to get used to it. 1. By the way, when you're testing your own armor designs. 2. Make sure that you do this many, many times because there's a lot of random effects at work here. 3. And you want to make sure that you're getting an accurate testing. So I do at least 3. Every time I'm considering an armor design, I will do 3 penetration tests. I will average how long it took and put them together. All right, so that was 4, and here comes 5. And it looks like, so there's, okay, it's still not technically, I would have to call this at least a partial penetration, because, I mean, technically that block is preventing fireballs from getting through here. That's a pretty big opening, though, so I would be, yeah, I'm going to have to call this one. So that is 5. 5 hits to penetrate. Okay. Now, again, you would typically do your own, when you're doing your own testing, you're going to want to do this multiple times and average it together. I can tell you that 5 is kind of low. Typically, it takes a bit longer than that, but, you know, the luck of the dice was this time, it was only 5. All right, let's get going. So, next one is 4, which doesn't exist. Oh, how embarrassing. Sorry about that. Okay, but I can tell you that what it's supposed to have been is the G3 armor. Let me see, I might have... Okay, let me just check one quick thing here before I just make this... Okay, yeah, apparently I did screw it up. Alright, fine. So, okay, so what I'm now going to do is create the standard Generation 3 armor. That is the armor that's in that battlecruiser, and most of the Generation 3 ships have some level of this armor pattern. Now, of course, they didn't have endstone, right? That didn't exist back then. They just used slabs. But it's the same basic idea. All right, we're going to stack south. Unless I miss my count, it's 3. And once again, you have to do the number first and then the direction, no problem. Okay, and if you look at this, it is, once again, 4 endstone blocks, right? I mean, they have wool in between them, but it's still 4 endstone blocks deep. So it's twice the thickness, but the same mass as the previous one. All right, and then we got to stack that up as well. Probably about 8. Might be too high, but I'll clean it up later if I have to. Okay, now a bit more about this. Let's talk about lag. So, this is arranged in such a way as if the ship's orientation was the same as that battlecruiser over there, where the nose of the ship is that way, the tail of the ship is that way, and what that means is, you can imagine, if this moves one block over, like let's say it was here, and then it moves to here, nothing changes, right? All of the wool blocks are still the wool blocks, and all the endstone blocks are still the endstone blocks. The only thing that's changed is just the nose needs to be moved 1 block, and just the tail needs to be moved just 1 block. And Movecraft is smart enough to realize it doesn't have to redraw all this middle part, right? Now, what if you had a different design of armor? What if your armor looked something like... that. It's alright. Wow, I'm really messing this up. Okay, it's been a long week. Sorry, guys. But okay, yeah, let's say it looked like that. So it was full checkerboard. That's what this is called, when it looks like a checkerboard on this side and on this side. Now that is slightly stronger. Only slightly. The difference is not all that great. Like if you do like 10 penetration tests, you'll find that, yeah, this is slightly stronger. But it is not allowed, because this is a huge, huge problem. If the whole ship is composed of armor that looks like this, then every time the ship moves, it has to redraw every single block. Because you can imagine, if the ship was here and then it moves 1 block to the right, well, now all of the wool blocks are now endstone, and all of the previously endstone blocks are now wool. It has to redraw every single block. So the difference is huge. We're talking like a single ship will create the same amount of lag as 10 normal ships. We just can't have that. So We only allow armor that is symmetrical. In other words, you could say looks the same as it moves forward. Put another way, it has to be comprised of horizontal lines. Now, those horizontal lines can be of any shape when you look at it from the side. And that's important, and that gives you a lot of flexibility. But I'm going to have to insist it has to be horizontal lines, or we're going to have to take your ship away, because we just can't have lag monsters on the server. Okay, sorry, enough of that. Let's get back to it. So, we're now going to do a test of this, and once again, it's the same mass as the previous block. We've simply made it thicker by throwing in some wool. All right. 1. Two. I'm not even going to bother checking because I know it hasn't penetrated. 3. 4. 5. I'll up the speed so it, oh, I know. I don't have any rights. Okay, that was 5. And 6. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get through. Now, this is... Okay, well, that... Okay. Let me back up a little bit. So these blocks right here, you can see these are not actually exposed. So this is due to, think of it as a rounding error in the explosion calculator. This is causing no danger because no fireballs could get in here. It's not supposed to let these pop at all, but sometimes it does. It does that sometimes. But this is not technically penetration. Why? Because a fireball from the front could not reasonably get in here and ditto with that. So let's keep going. I think we'll probably get 1 more, maybe 2 more. Let's give it a shot. Give it a shot. I made a funny. Okay. It's still not quite through. Okay, so we're getting some good luck on this. Let's give it another one. And once again, this is why you really need to do multiple tests and average them together. Still not through. So I can tell you why. It's because some of these blocks are still here, even at up to the very front. Usually the very front is annihilated by now. But we're going to keep going. Let's just see how much it can take. Okay, she's done. Yeah, that's all she had. All right. So that is now officially penetrated. But it did take 9 hits, so yeah, it's not bad. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do, let's see if I still have my schematic names. Okay, this is probably the strongest overall armor depending on design considerations. So, we're trying to take advantage of the strength of those horizontal armor plates, right? And in this case, we've got them 2 thick. Now, you could go with 3, and it might be stronger. If so, the difference is not very great. In the testing I've done, I haven't found a huge difference. It's one of those things where it's so random that it's hard to find exactly where the difference is. But yeah, anyway, 3 might be a little better. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's start hitting this thing. And 1. If this gets through in like 5 hits, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, all right. So far, good. So far, so good. 2. 3. 4. 5. Oh, and by the way, just in case I haven't mentioned it, don't use an automatic gun for this testing. Automatic guns will hit the end stone faster than it's capable of reacting to the damage. Basically, there's a cooldown. So yeah, for realistic or for exact results, use semi-auto. Okay, all right, starting to get through here, but not technically penetrated. I think we're on 7. Okay, once again. Yeah, okay, still not technically penetrated. 8. And the strength of this design is that it still has these blocks. You know, let's see, it tends to stop the TNT relatively early. 8, still not technically penetrated. Here comes 9. Still not technically penetrated. Let's do 10. Now it is penetrated. Okay, so that's 10 hits to get through that. So we're now at about double what the initial solid block was. Now, like I say, I personally believe this is probably the strongest you're going to get. Either 2 or 3 with this tessellated pattern so that it's hard to light things on fire on the interior. Now, there's probably other designs that could be considered, and let me, for other reasons. So this would be kind of your typical design, like that battlecruiser over there, where you've got a certain armor layer, and then you have the ship's interior. We'll call that traditional shipbuilding methodology. All right, and let me load this up. Number 6. Okay, now this is something that a warship geek like me just gets really excited about. All right, so what is this? That is a honeycomb lattice. This is exactly the sort of thing that you would put in a real warship, although the orientation would be a little different. But the point is that this is the perfect, in the real world, this is a great way to distribute force. If you note, we still have exactly 4 end stone blocks on every line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., all the way up. But now it's way thicker. Now, so this is for a different kind of warship methodology. So a traditional warship has armor. This design of warship is armor. What I mean by that is, instead of saying, okay, I've got my armor plating on the outside, rather your entire ship is constructed of this lattice. And you can do that because this, let me show you the distribution of this, which is to say how much end stone there is compared to how much wool. There is 1/3 exactly end stone, which means this, the more of this you have, the more lift you have. So adding more and more of this simply increases your lift. So yeah, you can have this throughout your entire ship, and it naturally forms these cells, right? Each of these is a cell separate from the other. And fire can only go through this one cell. And if you penetrate it from the side, chances are the fire is going to put itself out before it spreads along the side. Now, once again, if lag was not an issue at all, you could make a 3-dimensional version of this honeycomb lattice that would prevent fire from spreading at all horizontally. But lag is an issue. We can't have people doing that, so please don't. And this is still pretty darn strong. Let me get started. Let's shoot it. Now that we've made this beautiful, geometric, artistic shape, we shall destroy it. For that is the way of man. Yeah, anyway, so, okay, number 1. All right, let's keep going. Oh, and obviously you'd have to have an outer shell over all of this. 2. And 3. And 4. Uh-oh. Oh, I can see. We've got some lucky hits down here. This has gone real deep. This is unusual for being only 5 hits. I think we're at 5. No, 4. Anyway, so yeah, real unusual for being only 4 hits. 5. Okay, I'm gonna have to start checking the back here. Okay, and 6. Okay, still hanging in there. 7. Okay, still good. 8. Okay. 9. Oh, okay. What's this? Nope, not counting. Keep going. 10. I think we're close, though. Oh, all right. Not yet. 11. Wow. I started out thinking it was unusually few hits. Now it's unusually more. This is 12. Oh, that hurt. Okay, yep, that's it. Oh, let's see. So while these results are a little unusual, I can tell you from experience that it seems like this honeycomb lattice is not quite as strong as the one I showed you before this. And it probably has to do with the what we were talking about before, that you want to have horizontal plated armor. And this doesn't quite, because these are only 1 thick. Now, you could try to do a honeycomb lattice with 2 thick, but number 1, I don't have the space. And number 2, I wonder if that might make the cells too big. Anyway, go ahead and do some testing on your own. But yeah, so what's cool to me about the honeycomb lattice, and the reason why I'm thinking that's what I'm going to use on my next ship anyway, even though it's a little weaker, is because it's not much weaker, and I love the idea of, like I was saying before, your ship doesn't have armor, your ship is armor. Like, throughout, everywhere, you know? So yeah, there you have it. Let's see, we talked about lag, and I showed you how not to do it, so don't have, blocks of armor spaced like this down the length of your ship. That's no good. We'll have to delete it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm going to go work on my own monstrous battleship, and I highly recommend everyone else do the same, and let's have some epic battles on the server like we've always wanted. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, or just sit there. You do what you gotta do. But hopefully I'll see you on the server and we can blow each other up sometime. Bye.